To untrained ears, this may sound like just a warm-up, but it's actually a group improvisation led by Pauline Oliveros, a pioneer of electronic and experimental music.
For me, music is working with sound, and sound is a broader material than a tone. Most of the time, when people think about music in our culture, music involves tones that can be organized into harmonies. For me, music includes that. That is part of a larger palette that I consider, which includes any sound.
Pauline Oliveros was coming of age in the 50s and 60s, around the time that John Cage was doing similar experiments with sound and thinking that music wasn't just a Brahms symphony or a Beethoven sonata or something we went to listen to in the concert hall. It's what's all around us all the time. And I believe she was thinking that way from a very young age.
Pauline Oliveros was born in 1932 in Houston, Texas. She grew up in a musical family. Her mother and grandmother both taught piano.
When I was 9, my mother brought an accordion home because she wanted to increase her earning power. And I got really fascinated with it. And so as soon as she saw that I wanted to play it, I took lessons, and that became my instrument. I wanted to become a composer. I announced that I was going to be a composer when I was 16.
After high school, Pauline moved to San Francisco to study music composition at San Francisco State College. She excelled despite the prejudice that she faced as a woman in a male-dominated field.
I think Pauline was taken seriously because her mother's a piano teacher, she had a musical background, she knew music theory, she won a composition contest in the early 60s, and she proved that she could write music the standard way. And she was extremely dedicated. Everyone who worked with her will tell you that she was on a mission. And it wasn't finding a boyfriend.
Pauline was always looking for new ways to make music, like composing with tape-recorded sounds instead of traditional instruments. She joined with a group of like-minded Bay Area composers in 1961 to form the San Francisco Tape Music Center, one of the first electronic music studios in the country.
And it was the launching pad for my career, I would say. It was a lifesaver because after I graduated, there was no place for me in the establishment, no place that would support the kind of work that I wanted to do.
In 1966, the collective moved to Mills College in Oakland, where it still exists today as the Mills Center for Contemporary Music.
Right up there in the second floor is where the Mills Tape Music Center was. And when I worked on my electronic music in the studio there, I would have the window open, and in season, you'd hear the frogs here from the pond. And so I made a series of pieces that were called something like Alien Bog and Mills Bog and different bogs.
By the mid-1970s, Pauline Oliveros had written and recorded dozens of pieces, but her investigations into the effects of sound on the body and mind led her to turn inward, abandoning written compositions for a series of improvisational performances and ritual practices that she called sonic meditations.
The sonic meditations led to another period of what she calls deep listening music, in which improvisation plays a very large part, and a very close attention to every sound in the room, including unintentional sounds, becomes very important.
Playing with Pauline is very challenging on many levels. Her ears are huge, and she hears everything. You can't get anything past her, of course, and I'm very fortunate being on stage with her because I think she's one of the most important musical minds of our time. So it's every now and then when I'm on stage, all of a sudden that nervousness kicks in, like, oh my God, I'm on stage with Pauline here.
Improvising with Pauline is special, I think, because of her way of listening, her way of responding. The only way you can really play with other people is by listening. A virtuoso improviser is not necessarily a great instrumentalist, but they're always virtuoso listeners.
Being marginalized because of thinking differently, I had to have my own scene and my own support system, and so I created it, and through the program called Deep Listening. What I'd like to have happen is that you come directly from the slow walk, you come back in and arrive here without, do it non-verbally, so you can keep the sensations that have accumulated, and we'll just start the improvisation. Deep listening is a form of meditation. It comes out of my own experience as a composer and performer and improviser, and so it's coming not from a religious background, but from an inner exploration of sound and silence and what the meaning of listening is in contrast to hearing. Hearing is gathering the waveforms, and listening is the direction of attention.
I recently got a fortune cookie that said, "Hear with your ears, but listen with your heart." And I thought, that's quintessential Pauline Oliveros. And it has completely changed the way I practice the piano.
One of my major accomplishments in life was going beyond fear through music. And also recognizing that I wanted to follow the ecstatic experience of making music.
I think one of her great legacies will be her direct contact with a huge family of people who have come into contact with her ideas and who are inspired by them and who will carry them on. And in a way, most composers spend their lifetimes trying to write the great symphony or the great electronic piece, let's say. But with Pauline, I don't think she has that focus on a kind of individual single masterpiece. I think what she's doing is creating a kind of way of thinking about music that is unprecedented and which will have resonance for another century.